Hello, my name is Miss Dina, and I'm going to show you how to use two subtraction works that are from the Montessori classroom to help your student learn the subtraction process in a nice and physical way that will help implement this into their mind and body. So you're going to use both the subtraction strip board and the subtraction snake game. So let's get started with the strip board. So the key about Montessori is the work. So you're going to need a subtraction strip board, and this is a work that's going to be making this process a lot more easy and understandable. It's a physical work that's going to help the kids kinesthetically solve the problem and visually see the answer. So you're going to set it up just like this with the rods on one side, red and blue, and then the subtraction rods at the top. Now, if you only have the addition strip board and you do not have the subtraction strip board, you're going to have all of this down here, and the rods are not going to be there because the subtraction board has the rods in addition to the other sets down here. So if you do not have these rods, you can just use a ruler. Okay? So two resources that we're going to use to help make it easier for the students is equations already written out. So this is a 12 table through the North American Montessori Center. It's 12 minus 9, 12 minus 8, 12 minus 7, 12 minus 6, 12 minus 5, 12 minus 4, and 12 minus 3. Now, obviously, you can write them down yourself in a journal for your student or your child, but this I just printed out because I have them all available on USB. This is easier than a mixed-up set of equations because they're all going to start with 12. This is an example of a set of equations that are a little more complicated because they're mixed up. Here we have 12 minus 11, 6 minus 2, 14 minus 7, 7 minus 4, and so on. And all the equations here are mixed up. So that is another N.A.M.C, North American Montessori Center. They call these the equation slips. And this is all part of the USB that they give you when you become a teacher through their program. So the first one we're going to do is the table because it's a little bit easier since they all start with 12. So you're going to be counting up on the rods all the way to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Pull that rod out. It's going to be exactly the length to cover up all the other numbers other than 12, all the other numbers bigger than 12. And that just really helps your student not get confused. So that's what I meant by using a ruler. If you do not have these wooden rods, you can just use a ruler to cover up the other ones. And then you're going to take away 9. So we're going to use the blue rods to take away 9. The blue rods only have the numbers, but they are the exact length that you're going to need to cover up 9 boxes here. So 12, and I'm going to take away 9, just like so. And you can already see what our answer is going to be. What is remaining are 1, 2, 3 boxes. So you're going to use your red rod with the 3, which has the lines to correspond with the lines on the board. And that's going to be your answer. That's what we have remaining. So when I take 9 from 12, I have 3. And I already wrote down my 3 earlier. And you're just going to keep going down the line. For the next equation is 12 minus 8. So I'm going to put my blue rod back and my red rod back. And I do not need to put my wooden rod back, my negative rod, because I'm still doing 12. But I'm going to be taking away 8 instead of taking away 9. And my answer is going to be what I have left, which is going to be 4. I can visually see that there are 4 spaces left, but then I'm going to check with my 4 rod. And I'm going to write down my answer being 4. And I'm just going to keep going down the line. Now, one thing with the table that you can do to help even make it more visual is you could just leave the rod that you did and keep going on with the equation. So by that, I mean, before the 8, we took away 9 from 12, and we were left with 3. That was our first equation. Now we took 8 from 12, and we're left with 4. The next thing we're going to do is take 7 from 12, and we're going to be left with 5. And when you do that, when you leave the rods on there, you're going to see the stair happening as this side gets smaller, this side is getting bigger because I'm taking less away from this side, so I have more remaining on this side. So I took 9, I have 3 left. I took 8, I have 4 left. I took 7, I have 5 left. And then the student can already guess what's going to be next. If I take 6 away, I'm going to have 6 left. Because it's going to be exactly getting bigger with 1 on this side and exactly getting smaller by 1 on this side. So 12 minus 6 is 6. So with the table, you can just leave the rods on and keep going down the line. 12 minus 5 equals 7. And you will count those boxes as well with your student. So 12 minus 5 equals 7. And what the great thing about this, you can visually see how the students will understand this process. They're already going to know what the next answer is going to be. They're going to see the pattern. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're going to know that 8 and 9 are the next answers. And a lot of students get that pattern and helps build their confidence in the beginning. So doing a table like this really helps. And just leaving the rods out for the table really helps as well because they're going to see that pattern. It's just like in the addition strip board where you would make the 10, when you're making the 10, when you're doing the make 10 jar. Okay, so let's just finish the last two. 12 minus 4 equals 8. And 12 minus 3 equals 9. So that is the 12 table. 12 minus 4 equals 8. And 12 minus 3 equals 9. Okay, so there's the table, and that's a little bit easier. Okay, now let's show the other work that we can use, or the other mixed up equations. For those, you cannot leave the rods on there because it's not going to show an exact pattern because the equations are all mixed up. They're all different numbers, and you're going to be using a different strip each time you start. So for the table, you can just leave your rods out because you're not going to have any repeating numbers or any repeating equations, and you're using the same number to subtract from. You always start out with the same setup. Now let's show this. Okay, this is a mixture. 12 minus 11. Well, for that we could have left our 12 because we have a 12 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's the same rod we used before. We're going to subtract 11. Now, these are bigger, right? We don't have 11 in the blue rods, but we can still get to 11. So these ones are a little bit more complicated. I'm going to use my 9. 9 plus how much more? 2 more. Makes 11. So this one the kids have to know a little bit of addition. 9 plus 2 makes 11. And how many do I have left over? 1 small. So 12 minus 11 equals 1. So obviously you need to know addition before you get to subtraction. Write down your answer, put it in there. Now the next one is 6 minus 2. So I cannot leave this work like this and do 6 minus 2 or I'm going to get confused. So I do have to reset up my rods. We're going to do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cover up the remaining rods. And I'm going to take away 2. Now I can do equally and evenly. And I'm going to have how many remaining? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6 minus 2 equals 4. And still very a visual way for the kids to see subtraction. And a number line really helps because they're understanding the number line. Let's do one more. Let's do 14 minus 7. So we're going to count up to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Covering up the rest of the numbers. I'm going to take away 7. I can do that with the 7 rod. And there's how many left over? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you can See, all the way to 7 is open. So 14 minus 7 equals 7. And you write it down, just like so. And so you just keep going. So obviously the number's bigger. It might need you to put 2 rods together, so they do need to know addition. And I actually feel like addition and multiplication works well together because multiplication is repeated addition before you do subtraction. But that's just something that we do in our classroom because my children really seem to understand multiplication right along with addition. So here with the subtraction strip board, you can also use a ruler. This is a way for them to do it if you don't want to take the whole workout and they're doing something in a workbook and they're trying to do it more abstractly and they just want to check their answers. They can use a ruler as long as the number is not bigger than 12. So 12 minus 11 and they count back. They do 11 hops back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 1 is where left over. 6 minus 2. You go to 6 and you jump back 2. 1, 2, 4. So the answer is 4. 14 minus 7 would be harder because I don't have 14 numbers, but you can also use a longer ruler, right? You can use the yardstick. And that is just an example of something you can use that we have basically in every home that a student can use to just hop on the number line. So number line is really useful for teaching addition and subtraction. Okay, so now we're going to move to the subtraction snake game. This one's a little bit more complicated, takes a little bit more steps to it. So for this, you are going to need the subtraction snake game, which comes with the colored beads. It comes with the gray negative beads, which are what we use to subtract. It comes with the the black and white beads, which we use as our placeholders. And then it comes with our golden beads. Okay? So, what I have, this resource I got on Teachers Pay Teachers. I believe the teacher is named Jessica Renee Montessori, and I will link her down. She has these subtraction snake game books, and I put this whole little book together, and really what it is just the equations. And it just makes it easier for the student to have the equations ready, just like with this game. I like to have everything just ready for them, or you can just put it out written down for them in a journal. So this is 6 plus 2, so we have 6, that's a 6 colored bead in Montessori, plus 2, that's a 2 colored bead in Montessori, minus 5, so we subtracted the gray bead, which is 5, this is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads, and the gray is the subtraction, plus 1, so that's the red one in Montessori, plus 10, which is the gold, and then minus 1. Okay, so that's the equation, and there's an empty space for the answer. You're going to need also a little counter like this. Now you can use the addition snake game as obviously you want to do that in advance to the subtraction snake game. The only thing that the addition snake game doesn't have is this subtraction snake beads, right? These beads. It doesn't have these negative beads, these gray beads. So if you already have the addition snake game, you can just buy a set of the gray beads. You don't have to buy everything all over again if it's just at your home, unless you want it for your classroom and you want a whole set for that. But you really just need the gray beads for subtraction. Okay, so the goal is to make 10, just like with the addition snake game. You're trying to make a 10 snake, or you're trying to make your snake all gold. And so we're going to keep trying to count to 10, and we'll stop every time we get to 10. So let's get started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh, I didn't get to 10, and I already have to subtract. So when it's time to subtract, you put that gray bead on the top, and you're going to subtract as many grays that there are there. You're going to subtract the gray from the colors. So 1, 2, so that one got subtracted. And then we have here 3, 4, 5. So I subtracted 5. And there was 3 remaining. So that's what these black beads are for. I'm going to take that 3, put it right there. And then what I do with these colored beads and these gray beads, I personally do not throw them back in the containers, even though I've seen some teachers do that, because I want to check my work. The grays have the colors need to be in their own little piles here at the bottom so you can check your work. Reconnect your snake. That black bead is just a placeholder for what we have remaining. It represents the remainder that we had before that we took away. We had some remaining. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I made a 10 there, which is this. So we're going to use that to exchange. We're going to put the 3 back, because that was just placeholding. And we're going to move our 1 down here. And then we're going to see what we have left on this side. We need another placeholder. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to use the black 4 right here as our placeholder. And we're going to move that to the side. And we're going to reconnect. Okay? So we're going to start counting after the goal to see if we have any more to make 10, which I can already see we do not. 1, 2, 3, 4. Uh-oh. Take away 1. So I'm going to put it over the top. Take away 1 from 4. So that's going to be exactly 3, right? There's 3 left right there. So I'm going to take my gray bead back down with the gray beads. And now I need a 3 placeholder instead of a 4 placeholder. The placeholders always go back. They do not go down there because they're just holding the place for an amount we already have. It's just representing the place for that because it's kind of like that exchange. So what I have now is a 10 and a 3. So this is a 13th snake. So that means my answer is 13. So when I do all of this addition and subtraction together, you get 13. And so you're just going to write down 13 right into that little booklet for your answer. And now it's the tricky part. It's the checking your work, the correction of error. And you definitely want to do this because you want to make sure the student did get the answer correct. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your answer 13 down, your gray beads, and your colored beads, you're going to put them in biggest to smallest to just make it visually easier. And then what you want to do is you want your gray beads first to cancel out some of the colored beads. So I'm going to try to take away those negatives. So I have a negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have a negative 1. So I can subtract 1 equally with that 1. And for 5 here, let's see, I have a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can exchange this for 5 and a 1, right? That's equal to the same amount. So I'm going to put my 6 and exchange it for that. And I need that 5 to cancel out this 5. And so I'm left with that. So these cancel out equally each other. A plus 1 is, and a negative 1 makes 0. A plus 5 and a negative 5 makes 0. So I just move those to this box. This is the box that holds, the black box that holds my negative, my black and white beads, my placeholders. So I just put it in there so I don't see it anymore because I know they were equally canceled out. And now I try to make sure that these are equal to each other. Are those equal to each other? 10 and 3, and 10 and, this is 2 plus 1. So I can exchange that for 3. They are equal to each other. So that is the same way that you check your work in the addition snaking. 10 and 3 is 13, and 10 and 3 is 13. So my answer equals out here. So that means that I did the work correctly. So my negatives canceled out, and my answer and what I have left over equals each other out. Okay, so that is how you check your work. Another thing I want to bring up is 2 more resources that I like to use. Obviously, I've used those equations from the lady that I told you, the snake game booklet. I always keep those on hand in a type of book like this, where I like to keep all of my papers. And it comes with a nifty little answer key. So this book here, page 31, just for the student to check their own work. If you're not available, they can go to 31 and see that, oh, it is 13. So my answer is correct and I don't need the teacher. That is a chart. So in Montessori, we like these like answer charts to help the student check their work. Okay, so you can use that and the booklet. Just put them in little laminating sheets for me to make it easier. I also put the equations in a little laminating sheet as well, so I can make more copies in the future. And for a teacher that is looking for the place to find the lesson for the N.A.M.C program, you're going to go to page 46, activity 6. It talks about the subtraction snaking in great detail. So that is a great resource, the resources that I use to check my work and to help make it successful for me as a teacher and for my students as well. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it helps you do some great lessons with your students. Thank you for watching.